Hi. Welcome to our show.
Well, hi, everybody!
Coming to you somewhat live and semi-weekly from the Quad M World headquarters located in Helena's scenic North Valley. It's the Quad M Show. Here are your hosts, TJ and Jason.
And as always, let's go ahead and give a little love to those giving us the love and all that type of shite. For you folks out there, thank you out in Hartford, Connecticut. Rosamond. It's not Rose, it's Rosamond, California.
Okay.
Just spicing it up a little. Houston, Texas. Clifton, New Jersey. Pride, Louisiana, back again, as well as our friends over there now. Greenwich, Connecticut. What the hell? Worksop.
This is incredibly racist.
Knee howdy!
Knee howdy.
To all of our foreign friends. Knee howdy. Oh, what else do we got here? Kuwait, Madrid, Los Angeles, as well as Union City, California. Hey, Derek. We'll talk to you here in a little bit. Kaliningrad, Johannesburg. Salem, Oregon. Let's see here. What do we got? Lake Park, Minnesota. And there's Johannesburg there. And let's see who else we got. The home office here in Helena, of course. And McKinney, Texas. Checking in down there in the Lone Star State.
The stars at night are big and bright.
Thank you all again for giving us a listen, stopping by, and saying hi, howdy, as well as me, howdy. God bless.
And namaste.
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 Yes, namaste.
Yeah.
That's for us yoga folk.
That is Hindi for hello.
That's a Hindi? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, namaste. Wow. Play some
I want the knife. Please.
Golden child. Oh boy. And then and you know, here we got a couple more little snippets of love. What are they saying on the old Quad M stall wall this week?
The stall wall.
Yeah.
Got a couple people that scratched on the old dumpster walls.
For a good time.
Call Got Till 5. They gave us 5 stars.
Oh.
Says, love the Big Van Vader tribute. Great interactions and a really fun, natural conversation. Had me laughing from the get-go.
Because that's what we do.
Uh-huh.
Bring in the funny.
The Deetster. Is that right? Deetster, 5 stars.
That's what it said.
All the fun of drive time radio in a podcast. Great humor and chemistry between the hosts and a wide variety of topics.
I'm proud of talking stuff.
Of topics from the nerd stuff to the general. Give it a listen.
Oh. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate that. And Drive Time Radio anytime you want it.
Indeed.
Just pop it in the old player and let her rip. Let her go.
Let her rip. Yep.
Oh, and you know, before we get into the how was the weeks and all that type of stuff, got a message from one of our loyal and avid listeners, good friend of the show, old Mark Piokas.
Okay.
As he was often wont to do, wanted to throw in a little bit of info in the corrections and retractions.
Uh-oh.
So I had to give him a little shout out on this one.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know, last week we were talking about Jim Baker.
Right.
And I was saying that was the second time I broke the rule. Well, Mark pointed out that it was actually the third time.
Oh, my God. Not only does he listen, he remembers.
He remembers this shit. But it wasn't that long ago either. It was for the FGS. But, well, he was half right. He says it was me talking about Benedict Cumberbatch, you know, Doctor Strange, giving out spoilers for Infinity War.
Oh.
Well, I will say this. You were half right, good sir. Half right. It wasn't Cumberbatch. It was Mark Ruffalo that was all freaked out and wigging out, giving away the spoilers. I remembered that. Because he's like, am I going to be in trouble? Are they going to let me be the Hulk anymore? Yeah, so yeah. So Jim Baker was the third one.
Okay.
I just wanted to give the proper respect to somebody who is making sure to point that out to us,
All right.
which is always nice. Being told you're wrong.
It's great. It's great. It makes you feel alive. Feel human.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Get that movie done, Mark. What are you doing? Listen to the show. You got a fucking movie to finish up. What the hell, dude? All right. So since we got all of that out of the way, good sir, let's get down to it, sir. How was your week?
Saturday was fucking brilliant. And
So you did make it out.
yeah, I did make it out. It was Buddy and I are like, fuck everybody else. Let's just go out in the morning. If anybody else shows up, they show up. If not, they don't. So naturally, it's just my buddy and I. We were out in the mountains by, it was like 10 o'clock or so.
Right.
We didn't get back to his house till around 4:30.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it was a nice full day of trigger time.
And the funny thing is we shot our swing shots more than we shot our guns. It was fucking hilarious.
Was it at like, was it at targets or
Yeah.
was it at varmints?
Targets.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, it was just funny because we took fucking bunch of guns and ammo and shit. We ended up shooting swing shots more. 'Cause, there was like between shooting, we were just having a little break and whatnot. And Buddy brought out a swing shot, and I just grabbed the swing shot and happened to pick up a 223 casing and shot it up in the air. It goes plop. And then we're like, oh, they make noises. So, yeah, we spent a lot of time wandering around looking for empty shells to shoot up in the air to listen to the noise. It was awesome.
Well, see, that answered my question because I was going to see what what exactly you were using for ammo in the slingshot. So,
Slingshots are, you can use whatever.
well,
You
yeah,
just
but
pick
I
up
mean,
a
you know,
rock off
well,
the ground and
well, yeah,
bam.
that was going to be my question. Yeah, I mean, were you just using rocks? Did you have things? Obviously, it was casings in this in this.
We shot
round,
lots of
so,
stuff with the slingshots, casings, rocks, bullets, little pieces of bearing, whatever.
Right. Just whatever.
Yeah,
Whatever odds and ends you can find.
yeah.
There you go. So how was your fourth? What did you end up just crashing early, or did you stay outside to watch anybody
no. Ended up
blow their
going
hands
to,
up or anything?
Buddy's poisonous tone.
Oh, okay.
And he goes ape shit for the 4th. And him and his family spent like hundreds of dollars on fireworks. Mm-hmm. And so they lit off a shit ton of fireworks. They had a big old barbecue, ribs and burgers and stuff. And yep, it was pretty cool. We almost got blown up only twice.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
And see, the rule out in East Helena there is
One man enter, one man leave.
kinda is you can't do fireworks in the street, but you can do them in your yard.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and Buddy doesn't have like a huge yard, so like the farthest we could get away from the fireworks was about from us to your wooden chair sitting over there.
So probably about 20 feet.
Maybe 20, 25 feet.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
You're feeling the heat. Nice.
Well, he had his boys setting off the fireworks, and had a bunch of those the mortars, the ones that shoot way up in the attics.
Yeah. Your artillery shells. Yeah.
The artillery shells.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
one of those got stuck in the tube, and it wouldn't come out. Mm-hmm. So the boy's genius idea was, I'll put one in on it upside down. So
So do tell how did that work out?
it was brilliant. It was the mortar shell went off about a negative 3 inches from the
Nice.
top of the tube. And then the second one went off like just about a half second thereafter. So it was this doubly huge explosion, like 20 feet away, about waist height off the ground or so.
Right.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That kind of ranks up there with ours over our fourth there. You know, of course, as I had said before, I was cordially invited over to a friend's house. And, again, they, had the barbecue, did everything up right. Once again, ribs, which is a barbecue, American barbecue staple. And he makes freaking awesome ribs, man. I mean, just the meat just falls off the bones.
Nice.
And, of course, I do my culinary expertise. Brought my bag of Doritos, to bring and present. And, and that's a beautiful thing about being our age is that, we let the kids light them off. As opposed to the drunken adults, they've been drinking all day.
Right.
So the teenage boys were the ones in charge of lighting off and presenting for the rest of us.
Yep.
And for the most part,
tradition.
Mm-hmm. And for the most part, their jury rigging mad scientist concoctions went off pretty much without a hitch.
Yeah.
There was one episode where maybe an artillery shell didn't quite get the clearance that we would have liked.
Right.
So of course, you get your blast and all that type of stuff.
As is tradition.
Sure. Yeah. The one thing that I was actually kind of surprised about, this was the year of shrapnel.
Right.
I was getting pelted by a shit ton of shrapnel, and it's very rare. And I mean from like the artillery shells, not just like the bees, those little bouncy bees you light. They just bounce around. You never worry about you always got to worry about where the fuck they're gonna bounce to. Or they got those like Gemini 40-in-1 shots where like
the little Saturn missile battery things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, chaos in a box.
Like 10 of them will actually go up and fire in the sky. The rest of them, it's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
It's
chaos in a box.
Chaos in a box. And so there was plenty of that, but I mean, like I said, it was just every other artillery shell every so often just getting pink by like these blazing hot fucking bits of shrapnel landing. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck? This is like first year that this type of thing happened, and I can't remember specifically what the fucking name of one of them, like Dante's Lust or some shit. I don't fucking remember them. I mean, the names don't really matter. All it is this is Chinese science at its finest, boy. I'll tell you what.
Right.
But there was one like it literally felt like shrapnel, maybe about half the size of my cell phone, was like hitting me in the chest.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, fuck, what in that? So I have no idea. I have no idea what they were whipping up there in China this year. But man, alive.
Well, that's actually kind of normal. I would assume that seems to happen all the time. So I would consider that normal.
This is the first time I've ever been pelted with this.
I think you need to spend a 4th of July in East Helena.
Dude, no, trust me. With as much money as we spent in previous years with good friend of the show, Jamie Bronson, the sheer level of money on artillery shells and crazy shenanigans and shit, like I said, I am surprised that I've never been hit by shrapnel.
Well, East Helena's like a virtual war zone out there, dude, because the fireworks are legal in town as long as they're on your own property. And that
North
place,
Valley, yeah.
And that little fucking town, it sounds like a fucking war. There is explosions going off everywhere. It's literally a smoky haze all night. You can go like outside of town and look down on East Helena and see the smoke covering this little town, and explosions going off here and explosions going off there.
Yeah.
Flashes of light here and there in the smoke, and
Same thing here in the North Valley, because you got like 5 different ones all on one fucking street corner. No, it's you get outside of the city limits, it's fucking game on.
Then Sarko puts on a big show out there every year, and they put on the earth shattering
kabooms.
Yes, the earth shattering kabooms out there. This year they did a pretty good job. Wow. Yeah.
I think we were pretty much just paid attention to our stuff. We didn't take a glimpse over to, see the big stuff Because I mean, you can pretty much see it from anywhere in town. Really, I mean, it's the big stuff. But yeah, so by and large, all in all, nobody lost any fingers. Everything went smooth as smooth can be. Towards that end, nobody died. Anything along that end. So it was all good in the hood.
Successful 4th. Revolutionary War champs, 1776.
That's right. That's right. And remember, kids, we're able to celebrate this holiday because they had weapons. Never forget. Another thing that I did over this week. So last week's pick of the week from one Monsieur Jason Birte.
Uh-oh.
I decided to give that Cooking on High.
Oh no.
A shot. And I'll tell you what, that is definitely a genre watching. And I'm not in that genre.
Yeah.
I watched the first episode, and you're right, they're pretty much, D, E, and F list celebrity. I'd never even heard of these guys before. It was that first premiere episode, like some goofy white guy who wishes he was Jamaican type of rapper with a frickin' Gilligan fishing hat going, yo, 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 I never eat fish before, yo.
Right.
Yo, yo.
Yo.
And then some other like stand-up comedian, I think he was some kind of Mexican. He's like, yeah, I was a little bit ripped before I came on here anyways, so to tell you what the actual effects are. But it was a good meal, man. I'm like, okay, all right, and yeah, the host, you're right, the host was nobody I had ever heard of, I just wanted to, check it out and see. And some guy that was on Chopped previously was one of our little cannabis cookers. And then some black gal that does holistic edible cooking stuff. And I was actually maybe I shouldn't be shocked. I thought the show would last longer than 15 minutes.
Okay.
But yeah, it was over rather quick. And correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being like stereotype. Maybe I'm throwing stereotypes out when I say this and ask this. Do they keep it short because the pot smokers have like low attention spans?
Wow.
Is that an issue?
I don't know. I didn't ask. I didn't care. It don't matter. There's no law that says a show has to be a half hour, an hour, or whatever.
No, you sir, are correct.
So
yes,
that's their format. Deal with it. They don't have to go into much blah what's going on. If you notice at the end judging, it was pretty simple. And
yeah, it was just
these guys are like, yep, this is good. 8. Other guys like, this is great. 9. Other guys like, this is a 10. And then that's it, like every episode.
Yeah, and then you had your Morgan Freeman looking. It's like if Morgan Freeman was a Rasta specialist coming in
that brought out the
the stink of the day.
Yeah.
Now this has got itself a high THC level, so be very careful. But if you go here, now it's got a bit of the indica, but then it has that sativa that'll kind of cut it out and let it be a little mellow. So please, all of y'all enjoy, but be responsibles. And then sit there and laugh, and then have that crazy pothead laugh when anybody says anything that would even be remotely constituted as funny. You would hear him over everything else going, ah, 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 whoa! So, like I said, I decided to give it a watch. I decided to give it a check out, and well, I think one's enough for me.
Sure, I can understand that.
But I'm sure there are other co-hosts who would totally enjoy it. So Marty and Kinsey, by all means, partake, enjoy. Right. I know I'm a rare breed when it comes to the world and the culture.
Yeah, you are.
That. I'm the rare. I've become a minority nowadays.
Yep.
But it's for everybody else's benefit too.
Sure.
Well, it doesn't work well with me.
Right.
When I'm drinking, I'm like the happy drinker, And nowadays, as time and experience has taught me I am good up to a point, and then after that point, the switch flips, and I am just an incorrigible fucking asshole. You know? So I know now, go ahead and maybe kind of get kind of up to that point, but when I'm nearing that point, end it. Be done with it. Enjoy the night.
Right.
We are now on water duty. Okay.
Water duty.
Yeah. So when it comes to that way I can retain my happiness throughout. Weed, I become violent, angry and violent on that shit. And and it's funny because everybody, well, we've had this discussion many times too. And everyone's like, how does that even happen? Oh, I get sleepy, I get giggly, I get hungry, I get this. No, I get violently angry.
And then he gets hungry.
And then, well, the weed don't matter on that. That's just me. But yeah, I mean, it's like I say, it's just, well, see, so I don't do it, and I've just never become, part of the culture. I know plenty about the culture through all of my various friends, because once again, I am a minority.
Right. And I don't drink, so I'm in a minority with a lot of my friends, too.
See?
Yeah.
See? So, that's okay. It just means depending on what party we're at, we know who's driving. Me. Because you don't drive.
Nope. Fuck that shit.
Funk that. All right. Well, let's go ahead here. We'll cut this, I think, a little bit short, which is fine.
Right.
Because, again, God damn it, it's our show. We can format it any way we want.
Right.
Welcome to Cooking on High with TJ and Bert. Yeah. Well, and it's going to be one of those special shows with 4 segments, because in segment 3, we'll have ourselves a little conversation with Derek Crabbe, good friend of the show, talk a little bit of the Ant-Man and Wasp that we had the pleasure of watching and we'll be reviewing here in segment 2. But we'll talk a little bit about the MCU, kind of what's going on now, what we think the future might hold, and maybe talk a little bit about the Boise and the podcast summit that we'll be looking at doing there. So yeah, full show, kids. Full show. So we will be back with a little bit of FGS and some hot takes. Squad M Show gang, stay tuned.
Have you checked out quadmproductions.com lately? Quadmproductions.com is your direct access hookup to order the Enigma comic book series and download the Quad M Show podcast. Check the appearances page for upcoming events and contact us with any questions or comments. Don't be the only lonely soul who's missing out on all the fun. Visit us today at quadmproductions.com. That's quadmproductions.com. You're listening to the Quad M Show, Segment 2.
Welcome back to the second segment of this here Quad M Show. Again, we are your hosts. I am TJ.
Jason.
Welcome back to the show.
And as always, this second segment is brought to you in part by Mirror Salon and Spa. Now, I know that you folks are seeing those pics online and you are saying to yourselves, damn, how does TJ get that awesome hair? Well, a very small part of it is genetics. The big credit, however, goes to Shauna and all the fine folks over there at Mirror. Now, if you're in the Helena area, make your reservations today to get all of your hair, nail, or spa needs met. Walk-ins are always welcome. You get on in there, you tell them Quad M sent you, get yourself $5 off any service they provide. Again, that is Mirror Salon and Spa. Give them a call today, 406-603-0644, or stop on in, 2043 North Last Chance Gulch in Helena. That is Mirror Salon and Spa. Spa. Yeah, I'll be getting my ears lowered here probably in the next week or so, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah, be paying them a visit in time for the Chicago show.
Yeah.
Since I'm still relatively well coiffed enough for Boise. Always got to keep on top of that stuff,
Right.
Presentation is damn near everything.
Yeah, that's why you're the pretty one.
That's right. I'm the pretty one. That's me. You know what else is pretty?
Fred G. Sanford.
The Fred G. Sanford Award for Excellence in Stupidity.
Morons.
You're a moron.
Idiots.
Idiot!
Dullards.
You're always so stupid. Did you take lessons?
The FGS Award for Excellence in Stupidity.
All right. Well, we haven't talked to our good friends over in Florida in a while, so how about we revisit, shall we?
Oh, yeah. I love Florida man or woman. Florida person.
No, I fucked up. It's not Florida.
God damn it.
Well, it was 4 pages.
You had my hopes up.
It was 4. No, this is even better though.
Okay.
This is from India, my friend.
Ooh. Okay.
A father and son team of alleged conmen who claim to work for NASA have been paraded in front of cameras by Indian police wearing spacesuits made from tinfoil.
Oh, wow.
Hey, this guy's a great big phony!
The pair stand accused of defrauding a businessman by pretending to work for the U.S. Space Agency and offering to sell equipment with otherworldly qualities. The duo persuaded the victim of the scam to invest in a copper plate for $210,000, which they claimed had special properties, police said. The suspects, Virender Mohan Brar and his son Nitin Mohan Brar, had allegedly claimed they wanted to test the device, a rare piece of copper plate struck by a thunderbolt, which had given it the power to pull rice toward it.
Ooh.
Apparently that's hot NASA technology right there.
Wow.
A rice magnet. They had allegedly told the Delhi-based businessman, named only as Narinder, that if tests were successful, they would then sell the device to NASA for $5 billion.
Right.
The men were arrested after Narendra had complained to the police after meeting some of the so-called scientists who would undertake the tests. The men have not responded to the charges so far or commented on their public humiliation in front of the media. It was also unclear exactly why they had been made to wear the sham spacesuits when they were arrested, with observers asking if police did so to throw shame on their alleged deeds or simply for dramatic effect. Yeah, and the picture of this, it's like it looks like fucking like some kind of Plan 9 from outer space shit.
Okay.
Like really, really, really bad B-movie type shit. Police told a news conference that a rice puller was a non-existent thing, but the suspects allegedly coated the copper plate with liquid magnet and small iron wires to deceive the victim. I don't know. Page 2.
Now, page 2.
Atak Kumar, Joint Commission of Delhi Police's crime branch, elaborated, saying they take a copper plate or utensil and coat it with liquid magnet and then fill some boiled rice with small iron fillings and fool the victim by pulling the rice grain towards the magnet-coated copper article. News of...
Tricky.
It's special rice. It's got iron filling in it and it will be attracted by the copper plate with liquid magnet.
It's magnet.
By the Vishanti. News of the alleged outer space scam predictably caused a major stir in cyberspace, with photos and footage of the father and son dressed in silver space suits being escorted by officials being shared widely on social media. Reactions included people saying they looked like they were in a low-grade Bollywood movie or working a tandoori grill, to asking why they had a spacesuit with no gloves.
Oh no.
Oh no, I know. It looks like fucking Marty McFly's radiation suit when he comes out saying, "I am Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan."
Oh yeah, there's some pictures here. It's fucking brilliant. Yep.
Yeah, thumbs are boys. So to you, Virender and Nitin Mohan Brar. Congratulations, you two. You are the winners of this week's Fred G. Sanford Award for Excellence in Stupidity.
You dummy!
Yeah. Nice job, guys. Nice job. Because, you know.
I realize it was the police that made them wear them suits, but, you know, honestly, that would be awesome if they were wearing those suits when they were talking to the businessmen and trying to sell them on this shit. We are from NASA. Yes, no, this is official company wear.
Yeah. Yeah. $5 billion. I don't think NASA's budget is even that much.
for a copper plate that was struck by a magical thunderbolt.
Okay, Google. What is NASA's yearly budget?
$18.4 billion.
18.4.
Here's a summary.
Yeah, so a little over a quarter
Okay, yeah.
for a copper plate
Yep.
that attracts rice.
Right, yeah, that's what every astronaut needs is a rice magnet.
It's a rice magnet. A copper rice magnet. Well, you know, copper prices are going up.
They got the, it's how they keep the food from floating around in the ISS. It's the special copper plates with the magnet paint
It's that
on
copper
them.
plating.
Yeah, yeah. If food starts floating around, it's thump right to the walls, you know. They were thinking of making the whole plate out of them, you know. But they're like, nah, we got $18.4 billion. Let's just line the whole wall with them.
Not when we got the Mohan Brar family on the case.
Right. Then instead of just wiping down a little plate, they got to wipe down the whole wall.
That's right.
Yeah.
The magical thunderbolt-stricken copper wall
Right.
of the ISS. Fuck. All right, let's get into some hot takes.
Okay, let's do that.
News and notes from all four corners of the pop culture world.
And the sign gotta stay hot. You gotta stay hot. You gotta stay hot.
It's time for some hot takes.
As we're recording this show on Friday the 6th, we had the pleasure of going and seeing the latest in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Right.
Fresh off the heels of the Infinity War, we have ourselves a nice feel-good movie of the year. So, I knew either going in or coming out of it, I mean, we'd probably have kind of the same opinion, but coming at it from different angles. And I was actually kind of surprised when you had told me as we were going there that you hadn't seen the first Ant-Man.
Nope.
So you weren't kind of knowing what to expect. So I would love to hear your opinions and notes on the movie first.
Well, as with pretty much any of the fucking comic book movies, they fill you in on what happened in the previous movie, so whatever.
Unless it's Spider-Man, then you're like, fuck this.
Fuck Spider-Man. But, yeah, so anyway, like, I guess my opinion of it was, and I didn't see any, I saw trailers. I didn't see any, like, reviews or anything.
Sure.
It was kind of a lighthearted comedy type, more of a movie. Mm-hmm. Wasn't really a whole lot of, what's the word?
Earth-shattering drama.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, felt like more funny and lighthearted, but action and stuff like that. Right. Kind of felt like the Solo movie, you know?
Right. Just as opposed to the fucking 3-hour funeral that was the Infinity War.
And the special effects were pretty cool. With the, I thought the special effects were neat with the, when they were shrinking and expanding and fucking with stuff and whatnot. Mm-hmm. It was kind of neat. There's one thing that bothered me throughout the entire movie.
Okay.
And it is, like, the inconsistency of when they shrink down, sometimes they keep their mass, sometimes they don't. And it just depends on what the fucking script calls for.
Exactly.
And I was watching the movie, and that really it bothered me more than it really should have. And
it's because you've been watching too much of that because science.
No.
Oh,
no, because it was something I would have, because like sometimes during the fight scenes, like when they shrink down, they keep their mass. Like the little tiny guy goes flying at the other guy, wham, knocks him across the fucking room out a window and whatnot.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But the building shrinks down, and fucking these guys can carry it around like it's a fucking diorama, okay? And then when he gets really fucking huge, he's all fucking huge and heavy and fucking shit like that. And then that bothered me, the inconsistency in that.
Right. On
how it was only like, there was no explanation for it. And the only thing that changed that law of physics in the MCU was the script.
And sometimes that's all you need.
And that bothered me. That really, really bothered me.
Well, I guess
if you were paying attention, like the last half of the movie, I wasn't really laughing a whole lot and stuff. I was just kind of sitting there being quiet. 'Cause that was stewing around in my fucking brain. It just kept happening over and over and over and over again. And I was like,
your suspension of disbelief could only go so far, is what we're saying.
Yeah. I was done with that movie before it was done.
Well, I was proud of you. You stuck for the first post-credit scene.
Right.
I was proud of you for that.
Yeah, because they didn't really end the movie, right? They were, I don't know.
Well, it's that little mid-credit roll. You have all the fancy, starring in this and that with all the fancy pictures, and then the mid-credit scene, and then it goes to the proper credits. And then quite frankly, there is a final scene after the credits are done. Don't really need to stick around for it.
Right, because you can watch it on YouTube when you get home if you want to.
Well, it's not, honestly, does nothing to further any level of plots, just a quick little ha-ha funny. And that's really just about it.
Now, one really funny part of that movie to me was when, I forgot the character's name. He was played by the Mexican-American guy.
Oh, Luis.
Louis, yeah.
The character Luis, yeah.
When he was telling the story, but the other actors were like miming, doing that thing. Mm-hmm. That was really funny because it reminded me a lot of Drunk History. And I don't know if you've seen, I think it's on Hulu. But it is like actors or comedians, and they get drunk and tell a story about history, tell a historical story.
Right.
But they're drunk.
Right.
But they've got, they showed them like telling the story when they're drunk, but then they have like actors reenacting the story, setting the, and so, but the actors are, it's the drunk person's voice coming out of the actor's mouth, and they're miming it and whatnot and shit like that. So, like, if the drunk person is burping while they're talking, the actor will be like, in 1840,
Well, and you notice when he started doing when he started doing story time, you saw me light up and really I was ready to get into it because that was one of the highlights of the first Ant-Man film.
Okay,
and he did it twice during that movie. It's Luis's story time. Yes, that is always going to be a high point for these Ant-Man films. It's definitely a thing there. Now see, obviously, I came at it from a different direction. I was already used to the whole, we're just going to take that whole, science thing and throw it out the window because it's a comic book film. I came at it more from, okay, how are we advancing the story? We're finally bringing in Wasp, who, for us, like, long-time comic nerds, founding member of the Avengers way back in 1960 whatever. So it's just nice that after fucking 10 years and 20-plus films that we finally have the Wasp there as a character. And same token, it's the feel-good Marvel movie, as was the last one. And again, I think it's a nice little palate cleanser after, the massive depression and fucking just, awesomeness, but like
whatever.
A funeral dirge.
The extra scene after the full credits.
Yeah.
Yeah. That doesn't give it a happy ending.
No, but it ties it in.
It ties it in, because
It was more of a dun 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 type thing as opposed to Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. That type of shit. That's all I'm saying. Just for the 2 hours, for the most part, happy-go-lucky, joyous film.
Yep. Until Thanos came along and killed everybody. Almost. And I've given old Michelle Pfeiffer a hard time, like in that remake of Murder on the Orient Express, where she just looked like just fucking Skeletor, was really showing her age and all that.
I was actually kind of, she didn't look as bad as she did in that movie to me. She actually didn't look as Skeletorish in this one. So I'll give props on that. Michelle Pfeiffer's still looking good for, pushing, God, she's got to be pushing 70, I would think, by now.
I don't know. Should we ask Google?
I don't think it's that big a deal.
Okay, I don't really care.
Yeah, exactly. But for the sake of this discussion, she's still looking good, as far as that goes. But God, Evangeline Lilly, oh God, oof. That's my celebrity go-to right now.
Oh yeah,
the chick that plays the Wasp.
Yeah.
That's my gal right now. Until the next one comes along. But like I say, by and large, it's. To me, it's a better sequel to Iron Man than Deadpool 2 was to the first Deadpool.
Answer me a question.
Yes.
They called it Ghost. Is that like a movie character? Is that going to be? Do you think that character will come back in other ones or what? What's the story with that character?
Well, okay. I mean, in the comics, and they really changed up the character of the Ghost. Because in the comics, the Ghost was an Iron Man villain who was basically out to destroy really weird conundrum. A technology-based villain that was out to destroy technology. Okay, whatever.
Sure.
But it was a cool concept as far as he was like a tech terrorist type of a deal. Think if fucking Ted Kaczynski had like a crazy suit.
Right.
And was able to go destroy technology, that kind of thing. And it was a dude. It wasn't a chick. There wasn't this whole thing about being a victim of this quantum testing and all that type of shit.
Right.
And so like I said, it was a dude. It wasn't a chick. I thought that this character of the Ghost was way better than the comic book version. I mean, it was fully fleshed out. But since... fuck it. I mean, everyone that knows this show knows we're spoilers anyways. After being cured of the condition, I don't know how she would be coming back unless she was as just the character of Ava. You know what I'm saying? Like her and Bill Foster are now starting up some type of scientific thing, and they're helping.
That was left open, kind of.
Right.
Because she didn't... They didn't actually say that they completely cured her of her like vanishing.
Right.
Now in the movie she says she could control it, but it was, I don't know how the exact lines, but it was kind of sketchy.
Right. Well, even in that post-credit scene,
so
they sent him to the subatomic world to get more of those healing particles to help her out. They specifically said that. Yeah. So I guess curing is a strong word to use.
Yeah.
But,
so I mean, maybe she like got cured of her shakes, but still has the BAMF.
Shakes.
I don't know what to call that. So it was trippy, phasing in and out of the.
Yeah, and that's
quantum.
Yeah, and see, okay,
quantum phasing. I don't know.
But here again, okay, so going back to how the mass thing was something that kind of was bugging you a little bit,
right?
To me, it was the inconsistency of the effects, the special effects, the CGI stuff, with the trip into the microscopic world and the phasing effects of the Ghost. Those were beautiful. I thought those were really fucking well done, really looked sharp. The ant effects looked like shit.
They were, yeah, you could definitely tell they were the CGI. It was...
Or in some cases, shitty...
puppetry.
Shitty physical effects. I think they could have been done a lot better.
They could have.
I mean, to me, that was where it kind of dropped off, was those... Because you figure a movie called Ant-Man, you should really have really good-looking ants. And the ants in the first movie looked way better than these ones.
Huh.
So you can definitely tell where the budget was spent. And it was in that fucking building carrying case fucking thing. But all in all, like I said, I thought it was an enjoyable film. It's definitely one that I'll be watching again. But I don't, because of just... I don't want to say because of how I've been spoiled with the Marvel movies, and the action and drama and pathos that a lot of those movies have. This one, to me, still, it doesn't quite reach that upper echelon. It's not bad. To me, it's like Thor Ragnarok. It's a good film, and I enjoy it, and I'll watch it again, no problem whatsoever. But it doesn't kick it into that next level. So for me, I give it a 3.5.
I'll give it a 3. Don't go to theater to watch it. Wait for Netflix. That's what I'll say. And if you can, swallow that big pill of suspension of disbelief, because you're going to need it. They might, I don't know, I might need to go pick up an enema of disbelief. I don't know.
Stop by the buffet of disbelief on your way in. All you can eat suspension, baby. You'll need it. No, and you know what? As a side note too, another real strong point of the movie in my mind too was the characterization. Even for I don't know if I'm speaking for you, but I would say for people that may not be too familiar with the characters, you could still get into the characters. The acting and the writing was really well done. Obviously, aside from certain scientific aspects.
Right. And you didn't necessarily have to see the first movie to see this movie.
Yeah. Because even then, Luis will tell you everything that happened in the first
movie.
And it's way funnier.
Yeah.
To keep the review train rolling, so a couple weeks back, didn't have a chance to watch it for last week's show, but I did watch the great majority of it. Of 13 episodes, I have watched 11 and a half. I'm into episode 12. I still have to finish watching that in episode 13, but I can give enough of a review for Luke Cage Season 2. And as I go in, did you stop in there and watch any of them at all before?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay. So, for those that watch the first season, it's kind of continuing straight from the first season, even though Defenders and other stuff has happened in between. It's still kind of carrying forth from there, from the what happened in that first season of Luke Cage, and I would say I binged watched the first 10 episodes. Because I wanted to get to what I felt was going to be the highlight, and truly it was the highlight, in that we finally got Power Man and Iron Fist, even if it was just for one episode. Because Iron Fist shows up, and they're having their buddy thing. Because I was a huge fan of the Power Man and Iron Fist comic back in the day, and it was just, it's one of those things where this was such a great episode. It just kind of tickles the balls. It's like, yeah, we may give you the full handy a year down the road. We may have that Power Man and Iron Fist show for you. But for right now, yeah. And to kind of keep on that same track with that 10th episode, when I watched season 1 of Iron Fist, I thought it was shitty directing. I have to admit, Finn Jones really needs to take some time and work on the martial arts skills, particularly for cinematic use. My biggest part isn't him as an actor in the part. If he's directed well, he does okay. He was great as Iron Fist in this episode, but when the fight scenes came up here again, it just looked tired and sluggish. And I realized they have a TV. They don't have multi-million-dollar budget,
right?
To where, like, here again, Ant-Man and Wasp, fight scenes are crisp. Fucking Evangeline Lilly, just out there kicking ass, doing flying head scissors, and all that type of shit. In this, it's like, it looks like he's struggling to get his leg up to kick. Like, get some of that invisible fishing wire, hike him up to get him do like a real flying, kick or some shit like that. It's the biggest problem. If you're gonna have a character based on martial arts, he needs to look strong in martial arts.
Right.
That's my biggest problem with Iron Fist right now. But as far as the remainder of the Luke Cage series, so it's continuing on with the character of Mariah, played by old legendary actress Alfre Woodward, trying to continue to take over Harlem, where another classic Power Man villain, Bushmaster, rears his head. Whoops! Luke Cage's ass, not once, but twice. and, establishes himself as being, a stronger, better fighter and all that type of shit, and trying to seek revenge on Mariah and take over Harlem's gangs and all that type of shit for his own. If you're not into the urban dynamic, as it were, it may not be the show for you, but for me, I love it. I still find it entertaining. I still find it as one of the better Marvel Netflix shows.
Okay.
It's not quite up there with Daredevil and Punisher or Jessica Jones, but it's that next tier down. So it's definitely worth a watch. If you want, like I said, it's 13 episodes, 13 hours. Fuck, take a Saturday. If it's shitty outside, you don't have nothing else going on, binge watch it. It's worth it.
Right on.
I find it to be good. Series as a whole, I'd give it like a 3.75 out of 5. Like I said, it's almost at that level of great, but just kind of falls a little bit short. I think once we get Power Man and Iron Fist, I'm gonna try to be as unbiased as I can, but I know I'll be giving that fucker a 5 no matter what.
Oh, because you're a biased fanboy.
Because I am fanboy through and through. All right. Well, so before we wrap up old segment 2 here, obviously I don't have any bumpers or anything to introduce this, but apparently we've got something out of Bert's Science Corner.
We do
today.
Indeed. I know Mr. has only pooped in the woods once over there. Probably hasn't really heard the sound much, but sometimes when you're walking out in the woods and just admiring the scenery or headed to your favorite fishing hole, you might come across that sound.
The sound of rattlers.
Of rattlesnakes.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Fucking scary sound.
Mm-hmm.
Rattlesnakes ain't nothing to be fucked with. Unless you know how to fuck with a rattlesnake. But that's not the point. So,
that's a past episode.
So, basically, what would be scarier than a rattlesnake?
What would be scarier than a rattlesnake? Is that answer still found within the snake community?
Yeah.
A diamondback.
How about a rattlesnake that doesn't rattle?
Oh, really?
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, in South Dakota, there is rattlesnakes that are multiplying that do not rattle. They were basically born with atrophied muscles in their tails that prevent them from rattling.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this was like a...
Is this a recent thing?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Basically, like a snake was born and it had the atrophied muscles.
Okay.
So it couldn't rattle. Now, typically the rattle on a snake would cause fear, but it also attracts attention of people that kill rattlesnakes and predators that will catch and eat rattlesnakes.
Sure.
Now, the rattlesnakes born without a tail are surviving longer than the rattlesnakes with rattling tails, and they're surviving and breeding.
Oh.
So there is a population of rattlesnakes in South Dakota that do not rattle.
Shit.
And apparently the population is growing and growing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So is the South Dakota Fish and Wildlife looking at trying to do anything about this growing epidemic?
All they can do is watch. What do you mean epidemic? It's not... They're watching evolution unfold before their very eyes.
Yeah, but I mean, are they doing anything as far as, I guess, not trying to wipe? I mean, it'd be impossible to try to wipe out, the fucking rattle-less snake population. But as far as keeping community members aware and what to, obviously, there's no signs.
It's fucking nature, dude. You deal with it. It doesn't deal with you.
Well, yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's how are they dealing with it? Are they dealing?
They're being
with
extra careful, I guess. I don't know.
They didn't have anything in that in the reports that you'd read, huh?
No, they don't. It's a rattlesnake, dude. I mean, you stay away from rattlesnakes territory. That's how you fucking stay away from rattlesnakes.
Exactly, and that's why some of us only poop in the woods once, because we stay away from rattlesnake territory and bear territory and mountain lion territory.
Right.
Let's go to the bars because I'm all about going to cougar territory.
Yeah.
Ba-doom, ba-doom, ching.
Giggity, 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 goo.
So yeah, I thought that was like I thought it was pretty fucking interesting. That
That's like fucked up because I mean that's close. Well, I mean it would still take a while before it gets up in these parts.
oh yeah.
There hasn't been anything recorded up here yet, has there?
No. It would take, I mean, decades, maybe hundreds of years even. Because there's mountains, there's rivers, there's lakes and streams and shit in the way.
Yeah, but all it takes is one idiot to transplant one.
True. True. And they're it's the prairie rattlesnake is what it is. That's the same kind that we have here.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Rattlesnakes that don't
TJ's
rattle. Watch out when you're in the woods.
TJ's suntanning will be coming from a booth. That's
One more reason to keep TJ from pooping outside.
one more reason. One more reason to keep TJ away from that precious, precious sunlight.
Yeah.
I'll just stay here and watch videos of rattle-less snakes and fucking poor three-toed sloths being attacked by pumas. Did I ever tell you about that video that I watched?
I think so.
Oh, man. Well, the way they were billing it or titling was Puma versus Sloth. So I'm thinking maybe it was one of those three-toed ones that you hear is like just uber fucking dangerous and, has like the fucking deadly chemical on its elbow that'll fucking just, one shot off the top rope and you're a fucking dead man type of a deal. Instead, no. It was more Puma versus tree trying to get to the sloth. And he makes one jump up, and the sloth's just kind of like, hey, I'm just climbing up a tree. I'm just going. The cat's down on their bottom. I'm going to fucking get you. I'm going to get you. And he fucking jumps and gets about halfway up the tree and then slides back down. Sloth is still fucking going. So Puma goes over to one of a tree that was a downed tree, sitting there sharpening his claws on the bark. He's like, I'm going to fucking get you. I'm going to get you, motherfucker. So finally, on about its third attempt, he fucking just gets a running start, gets up off that fucking tree, and gets to the point where he fucking latches onto the back of the sloth's leg. And you don't see, you can hear, like, the growling of the puma.
Uh-huh.
You can hear the British, David Attenborough-esque commentary.
Right.
The puma has latched on to poor little sloth's legs. At some point, the sloth will let go. But in no way, shape, or form are you hearing the sloth in any throes of pain. Not even like a, ouch. Not even that. But eventually, the sloth's strength gives way. Puma gets a meal.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize it's nature. You circle of life, baby. I still felt bad for the sloth, and I felt bad for myself for being misled.
Well, that's nature, buddy. You don't feel bad for the double quarter pounder with cheese you get from McDonald's, do you?
No, I do not.
That was slow food for that puma.
I think it was more the false advertising.
See,
it should have been Puma versus tree, not Puma versus sloth.
Wild Kingdom doesn't like fast food; they like slow. That kitty was like, "Oh, that's a sloth! Yay! I can take my time.
I'm gonna get you, little fucker.
Right? Sharpen my claws for a little while. Yeah.
I'm gonna get you. Okay, well, I'll just be up here climbing the tree. Let's go ahead and take a break. We will come back with a third segment, a little bit of talking, discussing, and all that type of shit with good friend of the show, Derek Crabbe, and we will be back. Stick around, Squad M Show.
Now from Quad M Records, the latest, greatest singing sensation, Belly Running Water. Listen as he covers today's hits. From Adele. Hello from the other side. I must have called 1,000 times. So pick up your phone, fucker.
Billy, can we just have you stick to the script, please?
Or how about this #1 hit from Dido? I will not go down with this ship. I will not put a white flag. Hey, cousin.
Yeah,
hey,
Billy.
Cousin.
Yeah, Billy.
How come you're making me sing a song by somebody called Dildo?
Billy, her name is not Dildo, it's Dido. She's a very popular British singer. It's Dido.
Oh, so how come you're making me sing a song by someone called Dildo, eh? Or how about this classic by Sam Smith? You don't think I know what you've done? And when you call me baby, I know I'm not the only one. And if I ever find that other little fucker, I'm gonna cut him.
Billy, what the hell is wrong with you?
Maybe you'd like a little bit of this classic hit by Flo Rida. So just put your lips together and go nice and slow. Can you blow my whistle, baby? Here we go. Oh shit, this is that song about the blowjob,
Billy,
isn't it?
for fuck's sake, we're running out of time and money.
I'm just saying, eh? Give a listen as Billy has a duet with international singing superstar Wing. I'm a little drunk too. How about we go back into the closet over there and I tear me off a chunk, eh?
God damn it, Billy!
You up there sassing me too, huh? I'll come up there and I'll cut you too. It's Billy Running Water Sings the Hits. Available now for download and wherever physical media is sold.
You're listening to the Quad M Show. Segment 3.
Welcome back to the third segment of this here Quad M Show, and this is your host, TJ, and this segment is brought to you in part by our Amazon Associates portal. Hey, before you go in and do all of that crazy-ass Amazon shopping that I know you love to do, stop on in at quadmproductions.com. On the left side, you will see the link, the banner for our Amazon portal. Just click on that link and you can get to shopping. It's just that easy. In doing so, you're helping out Quad M&A. Who doesn't need all the help they can get? So once again, before you start your Amazon shopping, stop on in quadmproductions.com, click on the banner on the left, and begin your shopping spree right then and there. All right, kids, let's go ahead and cut to the chase here. Plenty of stuff to talk about here in this third segment, and we are joined by good friend of the show and personal friend of mine and Boise Wizard World attendee, Derek Crabbe.
Hey, what's up, man?
Derek, how we doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm ready to go. We're talking some Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh, dude,
yeah.
we have got so much shit to talk about. And first, before we get into it now, the show proper, for all you kids out there, we'll give you a little peek behind the curtains here. The show proper is recorded usually on Friday evenings. Derek and I are recording on Sunday, about a day and a half after the fact. And in that interim time, news has come out about the unfortunate passing of comic book legend Steve Ditko this past Saturday at the age of 90, and that's kind of a big deal. What did you think when you had heard the news about Steve's passing?
I feel like a couple weeks ago there was, before this was really official, there were people already throwing out news, and I remember things like that got shut down really quickly, like where people were like, oh, this is fake and everything. And so I think when I first started seeing posts about it, I kind of went, oh, is that fake news type thing? Is that report of his death, that was not real a few weeks ago, like still virally bouncing around? And then when I just kind of saw, news post after news post, then I went, oh no, this is for real this time and everything like that. So I was like, oh, I was like, oh, that's too bad and stuff. You know what else is funny too is like he's pretty infamous for not being a very public persona. Like he did not appear on a lot of videos or kind of take a lot of photos.
Yeah, I've only seen like one photo of him ever.
And what I thought was kind of funny is it seems like a bunch of people had a lot of written correspondence with him. So if you pay attention to the right, Twitter feeds and Facebook news feeds and all this other stuff, you can see all these people post all these handwritten letters, like of correspondence from Ditko, which is kind of interesting because I was like, well, he may not have been a public persona in the sense of like interviews and audio and films and pictures and things like that. But it seems like everybody's busting out of the woodwork with their, it seems like everybody but me has their own like personal handwritten letter from Steve Ditko, where it's like, they're like, dear sir, your letter is heartfelt, but I don't know, he kind of always kind of puts a little spin on it or whatever in his response and everything, which seems to maybe be atypical Ditko response to whatever the letter is and stuff like that. So I was kind of thinking like, oh, that's yeah. And then that's the other thing. Like when I posted that photo of like all the Ditko figures I had, and
the Ditko force.
Yeah. And so you like, but it's like one of those things where I was like, oh damn, like I was like, I wish there was a Speedball figure, TJ. You don't know how I wish there was, but there's just not. I was like, you got to customize that shit. But
that New Warriors collector's pack that we have. Yet
I know,
to see.
like where is that? I need my Night Thrasher with his action skateboard. Come on, like this is ridiculous. Why is there not any of this? I desperately need a Firestar for my amazing friends. I mean, come on, we need some New Warriors, man. Like I don't know, who knows? Maybe when they release this TV show, they'll actually throw us a bone for some New Warriors love.
Throw some '90s love our way. What I know for myself, like it took me a while. Steve Ditko's art was something that had to kind of grow on me. When I started collecting comics, at the wee age of like 3 or 4 years old, I was used to guys like John Byrne, George Perez, Mike Zeck, the Buscema brothers, that sort of generation of artists. And then when I was introduced to guys like Steve Ditko and Jack Kirby, it took me a while to really, get into his work. When you first discovered Ditko for yourself, was it an instant deal? Was it?
I feel like you as a fan, you have a common genesis where you usually were attracted to whatever was currently on the stands, and you found the artists you liked, whether it was, like the hip and cool artists of the time, your Todd McFarlane's, your Jim Lee's, your John Byrne's, your George Perez's, like whoever was the new hotness in comics at the time. So you looked at those and kind of went, oh yeah, this is how comics should be. And you have what I commonly refer to as like your dumb teenage years, where you don't know shit about shit, and you just kind of are like, oh, I don't know that I like this old stuff, and so, you're like sitting there like a dumbass, and you go, I don't know about this Steve Ditko stuff, and so you have that at first, and the part of it is like, you're like, well, geez, you're paying 75 cents for an issue with quote unquote, KEWL cool art, and then, you get these Marvel Masterworks that were like $29.95, and you're like, you paid a lot of money for it. But I think, for me, like it was those kind of reprinted collections that turned me on to it, because I remember having the Avengers one where that was what kind of keyed me into Jack Kirby's art, and then I think the ones that really keyed me into Ditko's art were the Spider-Man ones, and then especially I think reading a lot of the Doctor Strange ones in college. Like that was what really kind of turned me on to his whole style and aesthetic. And I think that kind of spiraled into, because it's like you didn't realize a lot of for me, I didn't realize a lot of the things that I enjoyed and liked. Like I love the Question as a character, and like, so like, and I love Captain Atom. So there are a lot of things like that where you look back and you went, oh shit, he's responsible for all these Charlton characters, and
right.
You kind of look back at like a lot of the DC stuff, and you're like, oh shit, he's responsible for the Question, for Hawk and Dove, for Shade the Changing Man, for the Creeper, like all these kind of quirky, offbeat character creations and stuff like that. And so then you dig even deeper than that, and you go one shade beyond, and you get really deep into the Mr. A stuff, like the objectivism and the Rand stuff, and how it's like you're looking at Mr. A as like this pure kind of concept, and then you realize how Alan Moore kind of twisted that to meet his own story needs with Rorschach. And you're like, even though Rorschach is painted as this like kind of homeless, gross, disgusting guy, at his core, I think the reason why people respond so well to that character is underneath that veneer or that kind of, I don't know, gloss of shit. He has a moral integrity regardless of his outward appearance that people can look at and go, fucking A, that guy's right.
Right. Yeah.
I know Mr. A is not short for fucking Mr. A, but that's kind of how I feel about it. That's kind of how I feel about it sometimes, where you're like, fucking A.
First name Mr., last name A, middle name fucking.
Yeah. So I was like, Mr. fucking A. So to me, I feel like I always got really, really deep into the Ditko stuff, and I really enjoyed the hell out of it. And so, but I think to answer your question, like, no, it was not instantaneous. Yes, I was a dumb kid that didn't, just like with Kirby and everything. I mean, I'll yell up and down to the mountains about, how great Kirby and Ditko are now. But I think, probably if you caught, me circa 10 years old, where I was like, I love 89 Batman, yay! Or whatever I was doing back then. Like you'll find me kind of wondering about, exactly, well, it's not like Todd McFarlane,
right.
that kind of thing. So I'm sure there's some, you could time travel with your flux capacitor and go back and catch some off moments of me that are, hypocritical in hindsight, or just being an adult versus being, a young kid and finding your tastes and learning things. And I think, to me, it's like one of those things where, how like you kind of go into like, people come out of the woodwork that are like sort of like, for lack of a better term, like poser mourners. It's like the latest, I don't know, David Bowie passes away.
Yeah, right. And then all of a sudden,
away, and everybody, all of a sudden, everybody and their brother's like, let's play some Prince music.
Oh, so sad. I've got him on all of my playlists, and they can't name one fucking song.
Right. Right. And so to me, it's like that photo that I posted of those figures. Like I took that 8 years ago, but it's like I'm like, now it's relevant. It's not like I had to go out and whip it up real quick so I could like join in the morning with all my other comic brethren. It's like, no, I it's like I think a lot of the posts that are coming out that I've seen are fairly legitimate. The only thing sometimes I'm critical of is when people are like, it's a shame that Steve Ditko passed away, and then there's like a photo of like John Romita Jr. artwork, and I'm just kind of like, God damn it, like, come on, can't you get this fucking shit right at least? Like, I mean, I get it, like people are lazy and they want all these clickbait articles. It's like, creator of Doctor Strange and Spider-Man passeth away, and then it's like a photo of fucking Joe Jusko drawing a painted Doctor Strange, or a photo of like Benedict Cumberbatch, and you're just kind of like, come on, man, can't you guys like do 5 minutes and like find like a real piece of Steve Ditko art?
Yeah, no, I mean, well, the reason I ask is when I had heard the news about his passing, my big vivid memories was as a little knee pin youngster, mile high to a grasshopper type of thing. I remember probably my first introduction to Ditko art was in this little, they weren't like digest sized, but they were almost like comic book dimension sized, but they were smaller. I think they called them like Marvel pocket books or Marvel Illustrated pocket books or some shit like that.
Yeah. Because they had a bunch of those, like where usually they were like, black and white, and instead of putting the whole comic page, it was like you read like maybe 1 or 2 panels on a page at a time. And
exactly.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Exactly. And I had a couple, 2 or 3 of those deals, and one of them was the Spider-Man one, and I think there were 3 stories in it, and I can't remember what the second one was. The first one was Spider-Man and Quicksilver, and I always found it funny that he was just able to beat Quicksilver by sticking out his arm and tripping him. But then the third and final story was a reprint, and I want to say it was Amazing Spider-Man Annual 2, where it was Spider-Man and Doctor Strange trying to retrieve the Wand of Watum from some fucking villain named like Xandu or something like that. And the whole thing was, he had mesmerized 2 thugs, and so the thugs were like these unstoppable dudes who went into the sanctuary, got the Wand of Watum, knocked out Doctor Strange, and bailed, and Spider-Man was trying to stop them. So the whole thing was Spider-Man doing his Spider-Man thing, trying to stop these guys, while Doctor Strange fights Xandu in the crazy-ass astral plane, Steve Ditko acid trip type shit that he would do. And that, I don't know why it always stuck with me. I think maybe because the movie Xanadu had come out at that time, too. And so every time I would see this dude's name, I was just thinking how hot Olivia Newton-John was, and the song was blasting in my head. Maybe, I'm thinking. But so, I mean, that was the first one, and that's the one that kind of always sticks with me as my first exposure to Steve Ditko. But my first actual, repetitive dealing was up, I can't remember specific issue numbers or anything, but it was up to a point right around 1982 or so, where Marvel Tales was running the Spider-Man stuff, and they were doing all the Ross Andrews Spider-Man stuff. And so they had just gotten done with, the Harry Osborn Green Goblin thing. And then they were telling the story of Dr. Octopus was going to blow up New York or some shit like that. And then all of a sudden, they're reprinting everything Ditko from Amazing Fantasy 15 going forward. And it was so jarring. Seeing here again that Ross Andrew open type of art to Ditko's, I don't want to say detailed minimalism, but that's the best way that I can describe it, because there was, he would use a lot of negative spacing to create stuff as far as the machinery and all the crazy interworkings of stuff, and of course his crazy, everyone wants to talk about Doctor Strange and his crazy hand poses. Look at some panels where Spider-Man is developing his web fluid or he's doing something. Crazy hand poses there too. And I just remember how jarring it was, and I hated it. I despised it. But then about 2 or 3 years later, it became the norm. And then it felt weird when when you got to the point where the Goblin is revealed as Norman Osborn and Romita took over. Yeah. Then it became weird and jarring, and I don't know, but it was that time frame for me.
I kind of think of the Romita and Ross Andrews stuff as kind of what I was calling, and this is not disparaging either, because I think Romita draws some gorgeous women, and Ross Andrews does some good Spider-Man too. But I kind of think of those as kind of the meat and potatoes thing that I was talking about. It's excellent, but it's kind of what in some ways what people come to refer to as a Marvel house style or something along those lines. And Peter Parker is a good looking Peter Parker. He's not a kind of wormy bookworm that has a chip on his shoulder, that's kind of thinks the world's out to get him and stuff like that, and there's also that commonality where you feel the film noir nature of the Ditko art, not only a minimalism to it, but just that there's a moodiness to the art, and you feel like Spider-Man fits in a world where there can be, it's filled with crime and kind of there's a slight shade of kind of the moodiness to it, whether it's him having a chip on his shoulder, or just the fact that there's it always seems like unless it's what you're talking about, where it's kind of the head trippy stuff, the Spider-Man thugs, the enforcers, the even seeing pre-Norman Osborn, this shadowy image of a guy putting on a goblin mask in the shadows, there's those kind of ominous images, and it fits in line with things like The Question, or even to some degree some of the Blue Beetle stuff, and where you're kind of you see these guys go after criminals. And even in the early Doctor Strange stuff, it may not all be head trippy, because you see that it has sort of a very real vibe, where you've got Stephen Strange taking a drag after he does surgery or whatever, and it feels kind of lived in and real, where it's he's just kind of he's kind of there, and it doesn't quite feel I guess I just couldn't picture your Gene Colan doing an image like that of Stephen Strange, like where there's kind of like a gritty realness to it in some sense that, whereas I think the other, what I'm calling meat and potatoes are more, it's that exemplary image of a superheroic figure. It's like right. those guys, things are kind of larger than life and kind of, they're those impressive titans and stuff like that. Whereas Ditko didn't quite idolize or sort of put the superheroic stuff on a pedestal per se. It seemed like there was kind of something rooted in kind of realism to it for me.
Yeah. But that's the thing about his stuff, and comparatively, looking back, his stuff had like a gritty noir, a surreal realism to it, as opposed to the open 4-color world, where everything is bright and vivid, where his had that little bit of an edge to it. That's one of those things where, again, the passing of a legend. Steve Ditko, good sir, thank you for everything that you've done, and rest in peace, good sir. One more before we get to Ant-Man. Here again, kids, recording on Friday and then this interview being done on Sunday. I did have time to finish my Luke Cage binge-watching marathon, and I have to make a correction and an addendum. In segment 2, I had given Luke Cage like a 3.75. After watching the ending, I have to now downgrade and give it a 3.
Everybody hates the ending.
I did not.
Like,
yeah, I did
not.
I
don't have like a huge problem with it, but I've heard that commonly. Like everybody seems really turned off by the ending. Like I don't know. I guess I didn't have that visceral reaction to it. I mean, other than the fact that, like,
real quick. Yeah. Remember, this is full on spoiler zone, so we can sit there and we can talk about this. We can verbalize this. It's okay. We don't have to worry about any of that. So,
attention, man, we going full on spoiler.
We're going bombastic spoiler, man. Yeah.
Hey guys,
so I was gonna say, so were you like me talking Jamaican after you were done watching this shit?
Oh yeah. Where he's like, I'm the Bushmaster, and we're talking spoilers, man. I was excited when they finally said Bomboclad because it took like 9 episodes, and I worked in a casino for like 5 years. I'm like, that's the only Jamaican word I even know. Like, why are you guys not saying it yet? I was like, come on, like that's you gotta say Bomboclad at some point. Come on,
motherfuckers can't tell if they're talking or singing.
See, that's what I loved about that. I was like, first you feel bad because you're like, okay, this is like, it reminds me of like, I don't know if you've ever read it or not, but Grant Morrison did an arc in Doom Patrol where they talk about the Brotherhood of Dada or whatever, and so there's one character who writes all this broken English and stuff, and when you first read it, you're like, oh, I can't make heads or tails of it, and then as you keep reading the story, eventually your human brain starts to process this mishmashed written form, and by the end of it, you're like, holy crap, I can kind of understand this broken, weird stuff, and like, I felt like the same thing when you watch like the first episode. You're like, wait, I can barely understand everybody, and then you feel okay about it because like even the people, even Luke Cage's little camera buddy, kind of like, man, can't nobody understand what them Jamaicans are saying? Like, and I was like, okay, good. Like, even he's having a tough time understanding what these guys are saying. But then it's like, by the time you get to like the end of it, you're like, holy shit! Like, I can totally like pick up on all this stuff. And it's like now I can, it's like cause some people are like, oh, put on the closed captions, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, I don't even do that for Capaldi Doctor Who. Why am I going to do that for this show? Come on, I can't understand. If I can't understand it, I just can't understand it. I just live with it, But, yeah.
Well, and that was one thing that I didn't bring up in the original review, and I'm glad you did bring him up. His little camera buddy. I don't know if people even catch it or anything like that, but again, because of how much of a fan of Power Man and Iron Fist I was, I actually enjoyed the update of the D.W. Griffith character.
Yeah.
Instead of being like basically looking like a cross between Randall and Jay from the View Askew films, long ass blonde hippie who was running the Gem Theater. Now he's like one of those hip happening. I'm gonna make some mad cash off the Luke Cage name. Type of what's the word I'm looking for?
He's kind of like a street hustler. In some
Thank
ways.
you. Yes, that's exactly what I was looking for. The street hustler. I really like the way they updated that D.W. Griffith character on the show, but it's not enough to give it past a 3 for me. I'm sorry, but turning him into the new crime lord of Harlem, that goes completely against everything Luke Cage for me. I mean,
the only thing, like, what's funny is people keep making the comparison to The Godfather, and I'm kind of like, that would be my only criticism of it, is like, I mean, I guess, the kids now, like, this kind of reminds me of something I forgot in my Steve Ditko segment, but I'm like, how you get, like, the Twitter millennial generation and the Me Too movement to, like, care that Steve Ditko passed away? Nah. You're like, dude, you're like, the guy who created Squirrel Girl passed away, and everybody be like, oh my god,
no,
prayers and thoughts to Steve Ditko's family. But anyway,
our hearts are with you.
Our hearts are with you, creator of Squirrel Girl. We love you. Yeah, so like that's how you get. Yeah, I have to admit, I've not seen hide or hair of Squirrel Girl in this entire thing, but that's how you get people into it. But I guess all I was going to say was that Luke Cage, like, kind of doing that Michael Corleone thing, like, I mean, my only criticism of it is he's doing the Michael Corleone thing. Like to me, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I saw that in Godfather, but I guess, I mean, I can understand that's something that, but I mean, to me, what it kind of reminds me of in a weird way? It's like, it's almost like they're giving him like a Daredevil Shadowland arc, like where it's like he thinks he can control the hand by becoming the leader of the hand, but then, I'm pretty sure this is going to all unravel and he's going to learn the life lesson by the end of season 3 or, whatever. I don't know, Iron Fist, season 2.5, like that, whatever, whenever it comes up, there's going to be something that comes up where it's like, look, like, I mean, he kind of knows, like, it's like, he kind of feels like it's his only option, but like, he even kind of knows deep down. I mean, otherwise he wouldn't have sent Claire home at the end of it, I think this is just one of those things where it's doing what comic books traditionally do, which is do something like shocking for sales, and then he's gonna have some kind of arc and learn his life lesson or whatever, and he's not gonna be running the Harlem crime by the end of whenever the next season is or whatever. I mean, right. I just was, I mean, I'm kind of tickled as shit that like I loved episode 10 where he does the Iron Fist team up.
Yes.
And I'm just tickled as shit. I'm like sitting there going, holy fuck, like Power Man and Iron Fist, and then we got a Cloak and Dagger TV show. I'm like, are you fucking crazy? Like I was like, this is insane. Like, why? Like, how? There's a Iron Fist and Power Man and Cloak and Dagger are on TV. Like, this is crazy. So I'm kind of tickled by all that. Like, I think that's kind of cool.
No,
and the other thing that I dug too was before I forget is the episode 4 where Misty and Colleen do the bar brawl before she has her arm, where she's trying to give her that pep talk, like, don't fucking feel sorry for yourself.
The tough love. Yeah.
Do the one-handed bar brawl, type thing. It's like do the shuffle, do the one-handed bar brawl. But yeah, so they do that, and I was just like, I think like Colleen was one of my favorite parts about that Iron Fist TV show. So it's like one of those things where you're like, oh, dude, I could totally watch like a show about these two. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like one of those things where you're like,
what were they, the Sisters of the Dragon? I think that's what they were called.
And they could do something along those lines. It's like, I don't know. I think that's kind of neat. Like, who knows? Maybe they could even throw my girl Patsy Walker in there or something like that. Do some cray on the side. But yeah, I'd be kind of into that. I mean, I'd give it like a point just for Dr. Nightshade. Like, that was God, that girl is beautiful. Like,
oh, the Tilda, the chick that played Tilda.
The only thing I was sad. The only thing I was sad about. The only reason why I'd take it down a point or down like a notch or whatever. I was like, I thought her and Luke Cage were gonna like hook up for sure. Like, I was like, good, you got rid of Claire. Like,
go get some coffee.
I was like, you gotta go get some coffee with that girl. She's great. Like, and it's like that never happened. So I was like, oh man, damn.
So let's go ahead and talk about the main event here. What we've all come to talk about. Your thoughts on Ant-Man versus Wasp? What'd you think?
Ant-Man and the Wasp, but I hope they're not fighting each other. It's like,
oh, sorry.
Why'd you say that name?
Well, if we look back at the comic book history of Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne, I think the sequel could very well be Ant-Man versus
the Wasp. I don't think anybody's going to be too happy about that. I don't think anyone wants to see Evangeline Lilly get knocked around. Like she was pretty good in this. So I think they want to avoid that particular pickle. I think that's why Michael Douglas is like, Hank Pym, and they're not gonna and that. Michelle Pfeiffer got blown up by a bomb, but really went to the. I'm sure it'd be fine if it was the other way around, though. I mean, she certainly gives Scott enough angry looks during the film and everything, even though it doesn't usually come to physical violence. But yeah.
No, kids, we in no way, shape, or form do we support any of that type of nonsense. It's all just having a laugh at stupid comic book history.
Yes.
There's my disclaimer. There. Now I feel better.
No, I liked the film a lot. Like, I thought it was really funny. I really did like Evangeline Lilly as Hope and as the Wasp. Like, I thought she was really kick-ass. I really liked the little girl who plays Cassie. Like, she was kind of just on point in all of her scenes and everything. Like I thought she was kind of sweet and funny and cute and kind of stole the show when she was, it's like that thing, don't work with kids, cats, and dogs thing.
Yeah.
It's like, that she definitely fulfilled that kind of mandate where, she kind of stole the scenes from everybody that she was in them with, and I thought she was really good, and again, I guess you already kind of set this up, but it's like spoilers because we're talking about, the film and everything, but like one good thing about it is that they didn't summarily get rid of the ghost per se. I mean, the way it's set up, it's like, oh, well, they sort of, quote unquote, were able to pacify her situation because of Janet Van Dyne coming back. But it's like with the events of the after credit sequence and the fact that he's stuck there in the microverse with the little energy, which is basically like her, it's like her prescription medicine to make her feel better. It's like if you take that out of the equation, she could easily go back to being, some kind of nemesis. She could be part of a group of Masters of Evil. She could be part of a Thunderbolt squad. Like, you can still, and she's not just dead either. Like, a lot of the villains get killed at the end of these.
Right.
So you can't really use them for return appearances at all. But it seems like if they I'm sure the legal people signed her for a certain amount of films or what have you. I'm sure there's some kind of contract stipulations that if they want to call in, and have what's her face, Hannah John Kamen come back for other movies, it's like they could use her as part of some kind of Thunderbolts team or what have you. So I was like, oh, that's probably a good move in terms of the ongoing cinematic universe stories.
At least get some level of recurring villain in there.
Yeah.
And we and we had discussed on the last segment, I really did enjoy this iteration of the Ghost. I found it more engaging and more developed than the comic book version that I knew of. How did you feel about the film version versus the comic book version, the updating of that character of the Ghost?
I think of it in terms of like this because I'm super uber comic nerd, but it's like there's like the Ghost that basically does the same thing as the Marvel Ghost that eventually was amalgamated into the DC universe that was like a Captain Atom villain. And I mean, essentially it's the same thing. They're like espionage type characters. It's like they have tech that makes them, phase through walls, and they steal corporate secrets. And that, I mean, essentially that's what the Iron Man character was about too. It was like they he was stealing briefcases and shit and getting away with it. I think later, like when he becomes a member of the Thunderbolts, they make him a bit more Ditko-ish, for lack of a better term. Like there's a the character's much more paranoid. The character's male, in case anybody doesn't know, but like in the comics, it's a male character. But he's much more wiry and skinny, and also there's this notion that he is like super paranoid of the government and all governments. So it's like he's always kind of off the radar. Like he's kind of like a literal and figurative ghost, where he basically is trying to, stay one step ahead. I guess they're trying to bring in things like the kind of, WikiLeaks aspect to the character, like there's all that kind of, like, he's trying to disperse information that is, basically covered up to the masses, like that kind of aspect, more so than just being a corporate raider, like not just doing it for the monies and doing it, just to get a payoff, but that he's kind of got this sort of, I don't know, this agenda to his madness and distribution of information, and he's trying to sort of rock the boat that way. But the film version, like, it's interesting that it has nothing to do with the tech. Like, I mean, it does, like, it's an accident, but then like that the fact that her ghosting or her phasing is part of, like, it happens whether she wears the suit or not. Like, that's kind of an interesting aspect. And then the other aspect is, I guess they tried to tie her into Egghead, because I guess her dad is Egghead. So that's
okay. That's where I remember the name of Elias Starr. Okay.
Yeah. So like and like so they tried to. It's weird. It's like they Ant-Man seems to steal a lot of stuff from Iron Man in this, but then it sort of tries to still tie it into, Hank Pym / Ant-Man history too. So it's like, right. It's weird. It's like, if you're of the mind, like, you're like, well, wait a minute, like, Ghost is an Iron Man villain and they stole it. It's like, but then they also sort of come full circle, and like, basically it's like they made Ghost a legacy character of an Ant-Man villain that, is referenced in this film. So it sort of tweaks it to give it a sense of legitimization, I guess. I don't know. It's like when you kind of think of it that way, you're like, well, yeah, then that kind of makes her a legitimate, Ant-Man villain. Yeah, I'm for that. Like, that's fine. Like, that's cool. Like, I get what you did there. That's kind of cool. Like, that's neat how you tied it into the history there and everything like that. So like, I was kind of, to me, like, I think most people are, I don't know, would enjoy the character. Like, I don't have much of a problem with it. I just kind of treat it as it's its own separate character, and I think it's a little easier to do with the Ghost than it is with some other characters in the cinematic universe, where it's like maybe they're one and only shot to do it, whereas like I'm kind of like I'm okay with treating it as, you've got, because even in the comics, like I said, there's kind of the corporate raider version of it that was kind of in those issues that probably you and I read growing up, where it was kind of like the Leighton,
the Ghost in the Machine, where he killed Spy Master and all that shit. Yeah, like those kind of like moments and everything, and then to me, like I the whole Thunderbolts version of the character is like, it's definitely a different take on it, and they kind of tweaked and twisted the character around. So even within within the comics, there were different, interpretations or I guess maybe an evolution of the character to something else, So it's like, this to me is just, it's another evolution for the sake of the film universe. I think because they're specifically accentuating the Wasp, and kind of playing up the fact that it's part of a male-female duo, and she is the more inherently competent and capable character of the duo, and so they created a nemesis that is as much a threat but is also feminine. So it's like, okay, it's like they created someone who can go toe to toe with this competent female kind of agent warrior character that they created, but at the same time, it's like, it's not like, I don't know, to me it doesn't feel phony or forced or anything. It just feels like, oh, okay, this is
she was involved in an accident, and now she's got her own agenda. I mean, I think to some people, her agenda to save her life probably is more connective tissue to a movie-going audience than being a corporate raider or being like a WikiLeaks guy.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think those things are as easily relatable as, okay, you've got 2 weeks to live. Like, now you got to steal this shrunken building to get, most people be like, yeah, fucking just steal the shrunken building. Like, yeah, I want to live. Like I think most people can relate to that a lot easier. So I think that definitely worked. Yeah.
Well, and you kind of brought up the point on that too, and I had seen a lot of that in again, a lot of your jive ass clickbaity type stuff and your dramatic, this is important news type stupid shit.
We were laughing about, it's like all these stupid clickbait articles. It's like, the end of Infinity War explained. It's like, what the fuck is there to explain?
Everybody dies, fucker. What the hell? That stupid shit. The ending is what is there to fucking explain? He's trapped in the fucking microscopic universe. The Van Dyne, the Van Dyne and Pym dynamic. They're dust.
Yeah, they were part of the half of the universe that didn't make the cut. What else is there?
There's an ant fucking playing drums. What is there to explain?
Yeah,
the ant is still there with the ankle bracelet. Well, no, he got unhooked from the ankle bracelet.
Yeah, there's no ankle bracelet, but he's still a roommate.
He's still kicking around playing drums, eating food, taking up space.
He's part of the half that apparently Thanos thinks is fine to be in the universe.
Well, come on, you can't kill off an ass kicking fucking drum playing ant. You can't do that.
I think enough ants perished in this film that the one playing the drums deserves to make it out because enough people got clipped by seagulls and shit in this.
Antonio, you big murderer.
There's enough of that. Just going to some more nerd rage. I have nerd rage. But it's not a big deal. Like I think it serviced the film, but like I'm kind of sad about Jimmy Woo. Like, I like the Agents of Atlas comic. Like, I kind of like the character. He's supposed to kind of be like this cool James Bond type character, and in this, he's kind of hilarious and he's kind of a goofball, and like that's fine, I guess. But it's like I feel bad for anybody who's like, dude, man, I can't wait until this spins off into Jimmy Woo and the Agents of Atlas. This is gonna be badass, and I'm kind of like, I'm sorry, man, like that's just not gonna happen. Like he's like, come on, Scott, like he's hilarious. He's like talking about okay, well, you know how like you can't draw on the walls at school, Cassie? Well, your dad went to Germany with Captain America and they drew on the walls. It's like, it's funny. Like, I get it. He's really good. But I was just like, I was kind of sad because I was kind of like,
he's the motherfucker Axel Foley would put the banana in the tailpipe.
Yes.
Is what
exactly. And you can't spin that off into his own little movie franchise or whatever. So I was like, oh, that's too bad, because I dig that. So it's like, that's to me, I'm like, oh, that's unfortunate.
I think the only flash imagery I had was when he finally met up with her. I was waiting for her to take the shit off and go, "This is City Alpha 5."
It's like Michael Douglas. What in the face? Oh no!
Quick, we've got to get out of here. Hits him and Bill Foster playing the.
Yeah. Bill Foster's gonna be the guy that shoots himself. Sir, I'm sorry. We couldn't find him. He went mad. He was raving about.
And Scott Lang is stuck in there for the rest of the movie, buried alive.
All right. Oh.
I don't know why I'm finding that so fucking funny right now, but I am. Oh, good lord. So all in all, as far as the Ant-Man The Wasp now, and in the last time when we did our review, I gave it a 3.75. It's right there on the cusp of greatness, but just it because of just how high and impactful and I don't want to say importance, but the earth-shattering drama of
your top key films like the Avengers, like Iron Man and Cap and all that type of stuff, I did bring it down a little bit. So, like out of a scale of 5, what would you give the Ant-Man and Wasp?
Yeah, I think 3.75 is fair. I think it did its job. It still is keeping the hype train going. I was hyped to see the next Infinity War movie after watching this, and I enjoyed this. I mean, the laughs were really good. I mean, I think if you just focus it on it as like a comedy movie and ignore all the larger, Marvel Cinematic Universe connections and all the nerd quips, like you could conceivably get away with like a 4 or 4.5, because all the laughs, I mean, they, bam, 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 they just hit you. Michael Pena is like awesome.
Well,
all the supporting cast is like awesome. They nail all that comedy and everything. And I think in some ways, it's very light, but I liked the kind of moonlighting. It's very subtle in this, but I thought the romance between Hope and Scott in this was actually well done. It didn't, again, the same thing. It didn't hit you over the head with it. It wasn't like this was a full-on romantic comedy or anything. But at the same time, you could feel when she was let down by him. You could feel when he was longing for her. You could feel when they got into peril, how they cared for one another and wanted to, she saved him, he saved her. If you're looking at it as like a team-up movie and you're like, who came out better? It's like, they did kind of, play with the balance of things. It's not like, if this was purely a, quote unquote feminist agenda movie, it's like, Scott Lang would look like a doof the whole time and she would have done all the heavy lifting. If the, the people that, enjoy seeing, women with agency in films, saw Scott Lang do all the heavy lifting and Evangeline Lilly was just there to look pretty, then they'd be upset too. But I kind of feel like they had a decent balance of it. It's like he saved her, she saved him. They both, kind of seem to be, now partners, like in a level playing field, and they kind of worked out some of their issues and everything. So in that,
and Captain Cockblock sitting in the back of the van going, "Are you gonna stare at my daughter all day? Get the fucking work."
Yeah, but they got to have that moment, that moment where they're like, "Oh, you look cute. Oh, yeah, I missed you. You look cute too." And then without dwelling on it too long, then we get back into the comedy and it kind of moves and everything. But yeah, I mean, to me, with my nerd quips and all that stuff, I'd say I agree with you that, I'd give it a 3.75 looking at the larger tapestry of things and everything like that. But I mean, I think kind of like the original film, if you kind of isolate it on its own and just look at it as like, a fun, AKA heist movie, AKA this was more of a kind of like a sneakers chase movie or like a Bullet, like they had the it's like you've got car chases in San Francisco, you've got, the kind of house arrest, like will they catch him, won't they catch him type thing, so
it was very Ferris Bueller's Day Off during that scene with the race back to the house. So
I mean, I think for what they set out to do, they hit all their points and accomplished their goals expertly. I mean, I think most of the stuff that I point out as, I don't even know if they're criticisms, but they're kind of like, nitpicky nerd bullshit. And it's like, I'm willing to let some of that go just because I enjoyed myself during the film and thought it was good, so it's like I kind of enjoyed the dynamic and like you said, we're kind of excited. We're like, holy shit, like a Wasp is in a movie, it's kind of the same thing as the whole, I'm like sitting there going, holy shit, like Cloak and Dagger, Power Man and Iron Fist. I was like, holy crap, like Wasp is like on the screen and she kicks ass, like this is kind of like a cool time to be in, as far as cinematic comic book, creations adapted to film. I mean, that's kind of cool.
It's like you had pointed out a couple of conversations ago. It's nice to know that we are at a stage where we can actually pick and choose what comic book movies we actually do want to see, as opposed to, oh my God, it's a comic book movie. We finally get a comic book movie. Let's go.
Right.
Now it's like, do I really want to go and see Captain Marvel, or do I want to go see this or that? We have the options now, and that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
So speaking of Captain Marvel, so that's the one that's the next guy coming out. I think that's scheduled February of next year. What kind of thoughts, expectations, feelings, any of that type of stuff? What are you thinking going into Captain Marvel?
I don't know. I mean, what we know about it is it's a prequel. It takes place in the 90s, and that's why it's not going to necessarily be this bump in the road between the two Infinity War movies. I mean, they cast, Philip J. Coulson in it, so I'm kind of like wondering, like, is that because they have this weird internal rivalry between the television and film departments of Marvel, where it's like the Inhumans thing failed, and they don't really seem to. I mean, that's something about this Ant-Man and the Wasp film, where it's like Jimmy Woo was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they almost treat it like S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't exist, and I was kind of like sitting there going, I watched 6 fucking seasons of this fucking show. Don't you tell me it doesn't fucking exist. Like that kind of thing where it's like, like you kind of get like a little irate over that kind of stuff, But I get it in the context of it. It's like, oh, okay, well, S.H.I.E.L.D's finally a secret organization again, and they don't have their fucking logo plastered on car doors and shit, which is stupid. But I get it. But to me, I'm wondering, like, are they going to be past that internal, like, dick measuring contest that they're having with the studio heads? Like, is this going to be the film where it's going to be like, great, we acknowledge, like, Coulson again, and like, is there going to be a moment where it's going to be a happy coincidence, like that, by the end of, I don't know, S.H.I.E.L.D. whatever, like Coulson is going to be like dead again, so then it's not going to make the Avengers look like dummies that they didn't know Coulson was alive on this TV show the whole time. Like, like those kind of things is what I'm kind of curious about. I mean, they're it's like, I guess this will feature the return of Ronan the Accuser. Is he going to be more of a dimensional character in this movie than he was in Guardians of the Galaxy, where he's just kind of like this one note, like, faux, extremist guy, right, that's like, not officially part of the Kree Empire, because, oh, heaven forbid the Kree are like an evil empire or whatever, like, so it's like, I'm kind of curious, like, how that kind of stuff is going to play. I do feel like there's going to be a lot more clickbaity article types regarding I already see it, where like there are these articles where it's like, Captain Marvel, the most powerful character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and everybody's kind of like, you mean more powerful than Hulk and Thor and Thanos? Like, really? Yeah. Are you sure? Are you sure? Like, it's like, don't get me wrong. I'm like, I know she's pretty high up there, 85, 90 tons, like, fair enough. But I think there's some 100+ ton people, like, to use the, old hot new, rating.
She ain't kicking no Asgardian ass. That ain't happening.
That's like, I'm like, are you sure? Like, are you sure this isn't just hyperbole for your stupid clickbait article? Like, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be excited about it. I mean, I don't know. Like, I personally, like, so far, and this is like super judgy and critical, but it's like, so far, like, I'm not exactly, like, super excited about it. Like, maybe that'll be different when we see a trailer and I see some, like, real stuff. But, like, a lot of these, like, candid photo shots of her, like, it's like that she seems to play, at least in some of those more candid photos, like it's a Kree soldier's outfit, right, uniform. So, like, there's a lot of downplay of, it's funny because there's the people that are not as familiar with comics, and I guess, we as comic fans and readers probably get desensitized to it, but, when a non-comics fan looks at comics, they kind of go, oh, holy shit, like, all these, and to be fair, I think it's men and women, but all these women are over-sensualized. Like everybody's sexy. Everybody looks like an Adonis. Everybody is the personification of human perfection. And I think sometimes when you look at some of these things and you go, oh yeah, it's Brie Larson and she's in an outfit. And there's no real. It's almost like it's probably more realistic. It's like if she is a soldier, if she is an Air Force captain, and she's wearing an alien, army uniform, it's like, well, there's not much use for being sexy in a wartime scenario.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like I get it, right? Like that makes sense. But then at the same time, you're kind of like, well, this is supposed to be designed to like sell like, I don't know, like Hot Toys figures and be on billboards and posters and shit. So it's like, well, she can look a little pretty, right? Like she can look a little sensualized, right? And so far I haven't seen anything, like I haven't seen any promotional thing yet or any leaked photos yet where I went, oh yeah, Captain fucking Marvel, yeah.
Look at that.
Like, I haven't quite gotten to that point yet, and it's like, well, if I do, great. If not, I guess we'll see what happens. But I mean, it seems like they're definitely trying to angle this as maybe the answer to Wonder Woman. Right. I think there's a lot of hopes and dreams riding on this movie for certain sets of execs and fandom and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I guess it's going to be all incumbent on how well the audience responds to Brie Larson and maybe the story. I mean, it's interesting to me that they are kind of anchoring it with a lot of old school, for lack of a better term, cinematic Marvel characters, Coulson and Ronan, and I mean, some of it makes sense. It's like, well, if it's Captain Marvel, it has to play big into the Kree, so you're like, oh, of course they're going to use some Kree type characters, but it's like, how much of that is going to tie into the Kree stuff they set up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the TV show? Is it going to ignore that? Is it not? Like that. Those are the kind of either fears and or expectations that I have, going into.
And I guess my biggest concern is, are they? Because I've again, the rumor mill and everything that's kind of been presented is that it's kind of like a dual origin, and we will get some, if not quite a bit, of the Marvel side of the story too. I just hope they don't shit so much on the original Marvel character that us old school fans knew and loved, just to promote the new Carol Danvers Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it seems like you've got one of two options. They either
ignore it completely.
Well, because it's weird. The scientist name that he posed as was cast, so conceivably people are kind of like, well, they cast Marvel, right? Like,
right.
And so you're like, well he's in the
Jude
film.
Law, so I mean,
yeah. And it's a name, yeah.
Name.
You're like it's a name actor. So, but it's like that's the thing. Is he just going to be like her mentor or scientist that turns out to be a Kree? That is he going to be the person that galvanizes her to become a hero?
Like
if that's the case, yeah. If that's the case, then and he's not a heel or a secret spy agent or whatever, then I suppose that's the best you can hope for in this kind of film, right? Like that would be the best case scenario, that he's a good guy, he inspires her, but doesn't, I guess for all the, the yay feminism people, doesn't take away from her agency, and she's a hero all on her own, and yada yada yada. Mm-hmm. And that's probably the best you can hope for. I think the worst case scenario is it turns out he's a secret heel in disguise, and he, I don't know, he does a bunch of nastiness and turns out to be like the ringleader behind the Kree invasion or something like that. It's like, haha, you were kissing me and sleeping with me, but you didn't know I'm evil, or whatever, like something like that. Like, I guess that's like the worst case scenario, right? So and in that case, then yeah, they would have shit the bed over, Marvel for people who are fans of that, which I wouldn't be a fan of, but I guess at this point, it again, it's one of those crazy things where I remember the good old days where you're like, how can we tell Rogue's origin properly without Carol Danvers being involved? And I'm like, holy shit, like now you have a Carol Danvers movie, and if they ever incorporate the X-Men back into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you could potentially I don't know if they really made her like the next Tony Stark of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They probably would not have Rogue put her in a coma, but you could conceivably do something along those lines and give Rogue like the same kind of power set or what have you, like she did in the comics, right, as opposed to just having her be Anna Marie and she just shows up and touches people and shit. Yeah. So like that to me is kind of like insane and exciting, the same way that Cloak and Dagger on TV and Power Man and Iron Fist and Dr. Nightshade on TV being the new Potts. I was like, what? This is crazy. This is insane. It's like, this is, wow. Yeah. So
before we wrap up our little conversation here, our little meeting of the minds, what do you got coming up next with History of Comics on Film, fanhole type stuff? What's on the pipeline for you?
Well, I'm still, I guess, the History of Comics on Film is still in the Superman 2 pre-production mode. Like, I need to read me I need to do a General Zod, I think, reading project, and get some of that information, correlated and everything like that. But yeah, I definitely, that's going to be the next big History of Comics on Film that comes down the pike. I mean, hopefully, I know it's crazy to say, but I'm like, hopefully I get that done this year. I'd like to. We'll see what happens. I keep working on things for the Legion of Super bloggers, because I don't know if you see or not, but I occasionally post those toy reviews of the different Legion toys and stuff like that. Right. So those come out once a month. So I do a bunch of those. I kind of do a bunch of them at once, and then they kind of squeak out monthly and everything like that. For fanholes, by the time people are listening to this, there should be an episode about me going to Denver Comic Con and kind of my take there on some things and some of the cool stuff that went down there. And I know, this week, as we're taping this, we have our comics motherfucker episode about Ant-Man and the Wasp. So we cover some comics that are, ostensibly, not necessarily tied into the movie per se, but that feature, Ant-Man and the Wasp, characters that we, felt like covering and everything like that. Right. And then I think by the time we're in Boise, the episode that you and I recorded about Captain America should be out.
So, I was going to ask about that too.
Yeah. So I was trying to time it all so that it sort of made sense, but it should fall that Wednesday after we leave Boise, I guess. So yeah.
Okay. Derek, as always, buddy, thank you so much for taking the time out, visiting with us, and brother, I'm looking forward to actually finally meeting you face to face.
Yeah, this is gonna be cool.
This coming weekend. When we return, segment number 4, a little bit of Reddit fun with Jason, kids. Squad M Show. Stay tuned.
In a city where corruption rules the streets, only one man can stop the serial killer known as the Blood Bandit. James Kurt, a former police officer turned private investigator, must race against the clock to stop the madman before he achieves his ultimate diabolical goal. When JK's brother Alex is thought killed in the line of duty and mysteriously returns with no memory of his past life, the stakes are raised even higher. Enigma, the comic book series from Quad M Productions, written and illustrated by TJ Damon, with colors and effects by Jason Vickers. Enigma. Order your copy at quadmproductions.com today.
You're listening to the Quad M Show. Segment 4.
Welcome back to the 4th and final segment of this here Quad M Show. Once again, we are your hosts. I'm TJ.
And Jason.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
And this final segment, as always, is brought to you in part by DeeplyDapper.com. Now, you've heard us go on and on about all of that sweet merch that you can pick up over there at DeeplyDapper.com. Original art prints and books, vinyl wrapped metal flasks, custom key hangers and light switch plates, as well as those handmade soaps, all based on your favorite nerd world pop culture properties. But there's so much more. Once you're done listening to us here, get on over there to DeeplyDapper.com. Check out the 3D Podcasket, as well as the Robot Kraken podcast, as well as all those nifty recipes and insightful bloggerish type stuff, and all the wonderful things that he does. If he's not going to a show in your area, look through his stuff, maybe order some stuff. I think he still has the web store.
Indeed.
So get on out there, support the boy, because he does some kick-ass work.
Very creative motherfucker.
Good friend of the show. So once again, get on over there, DeeplyDapper.com. Once again, that is DeeplyDapper.com. Better living through tentacles.
Tentacles. We need some more squid jokes. We need to get some squid jokes. Throw it in there at the end for him.
Well, you know.
Some laffy, taffy, stupid, cheesy type of jokes.
Just dad jokes.
Yeah. The kind where you're like, oh, you're like.
You're getting bored with 10 tickles? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, I'm just saying we got to throw something else out there.
Okay. Change it up for the kids.
Yeah.
You know what never needs changing?
Reddit.
Reddit fun with Jason.
Reddit fun with Jason.
What does the hive mind have in store for us this week, good sir?
Well, you know, not to get political, but this week's question: the Scooby Doo gang pulls off Trump's masks, or Trump's mask. Who was he this whole time?
Old Man McGillicuddy from down the lane. It's the best one I got.
That's the best one you got?
Yeah.
When I first read the question, the first thing that popped into my mind was Biff Tannen.
Biff Tannen.
Because there was I think it was the second or third Back to the Future where he's got his own
the plaza.
The plaza.
Yeah, that was
stuff.
number 2. Yeah,
number
that was
two.
number 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Biffs.
Yep.
I think some wise ass has got to say Joe Biden in there somewhere.
Well, let's see what these guys say.
All right.
Okay. Who's the question posted? This new Reddit doesn't show who the thing is.
Who the OP was?
Yeah.
That's original poster for all of you non-Reddit kids out there.
Anyway, Lou Dog 2294 of the Borg Mind says Sacha Baron Cohen.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Dulciferus says Biff Tannen.
No, there you go. Winner, chicken dinner.
Yep. Soulless -1. Trump, but bald. Humanoid Freaks. Vince McMahon. It was me, Austin. It was me all along. Muddy Gollum says Scrappy Doo.
I almost went with the Scrappy Doo answer. Almost.
Then we got Grandpappy Joe. Jeff Dunham's hand.
Okay.
No. That's good.
That's our winner right there. That's my boy.
Oh, this one's good too. Waiter dude says Stephen Colbert, C-Bus Alex, Andy Kaufman playing the longest con of his career. Cattle rustler, a slightly smaller Donald Trump.
It's Trumpy Doo.
Like a Russian nesting doll.
Yeah.
Oh, Isaac DX, Rasputin.
The Mad Monk?
I think so. Rasputin, that's what he says.
It's the only Rasputin I can think of.
Right. Decadent 77, Hillary Clinton. I'm your daily dreamer. 3 Russian midgets standing on each other's shoulders.
Winner, chicken dinner. I don't think so. Winner, sheen dinner.
Too Fat CC. It was Rupert Murdoch, and he would have gotten away with it, too, if it weren't for you meddling kids and your mangy dog.
Rangy?
Reddit Bork says, Old Man Putin.
Well, do I get half credit for that one, then?
Yeah.
It's Old Man McGillicuddy. Okay. Old Man Putin. It's the old Vladimir in his bib overalls. And I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you. Whatever they call kids in Russian. I don't know, but
that was an Arnie accent.
Whatever,
it works.
It's Russian for this show.
Right?
Hey, you know what? That accent worked for him in Red Heat, so I'm covered.
The Arnold accent is amazing because you can ask almost anybody in the world to do an Arnold Schwarzenegger accent,
Everybody
and they can pull it off.
You ain't gonna rock and roll no more. Yakety yak. Don't talk back. Money.
Oh, Society F. Ted fucking Cruz. Hands for Bricks says Obama's long-lost albino cousin from Kenya.
Elvis albino cousin.
From Kenya.
Dave Obama.
Amanu, Old Man Jenkins. Ice Phoenix 18 says, a bunch of rats, spiders, and creepy crawlies, just like Oogie Boogie in Nightmare Before Christmas. Texas Toast for the win says, any answer besides Don Knotts is wrong. Snack Attack. Loch Ness Monster. I'm gonna need about tree fitty. Citation XN7V11C. Bill Clinton. Hey, I'm sorry, guys. Started his way to get rid of my wife so I could eat some Funyuns in peace. It just escalated from there.
I just wanted some of them Funyuns. but I got to bang Stormy Daniels out of the deal, so hey, win-win, right?
If you look at his current pictures, that's what it would. I think it would sound like if he laughed. He looks pretty old.
You try spending your days with Hillary after she's not in office. Oh, Jesus Christ! I tell you what.
Oh, Vic the One, some 14-year-old who plays a lot of Call of Duty and whose life lacks discipline and structure.
Hey, real quick here, just before I leave the show, I just want to ask you something. You know why America doesn't tell knock-knock jokes?
No.
Because freedom rings. Okay, I'm leaving, y'all. See y'all later. Bye now. Okay. Thanks, Bill.
Fucking shit.
Nice of him to stop by.
Right. Maybe he can read the next Reddit for us.
Wow, he's
10 guy says David Blaine. Oh. Drunken Master, Rosie O'Donnell. Oh, I'm the Senate, Kanye West. Can't piss off mods, Microsoft Edge. Patrick Swayze. Haha, we're from Omicron Persei 8. Lots of pudding.
Lots of pudding.
Oh, and Jar Jar Binks.
Okay, that's where you wrap it up. Oh, Misa, no.
Misa Trump.
Misa never know me get elected president.
That's why he's so awful at Twitter. Huh. God damn it. It's Darth Jar Jar.
Darth Jar Jar.
Donald Trump is Darth Jar Jar.
Darth Binks. All right. Well, good, sir. I do not have anything for picks of the week this week. How about you? Do you got anything for picks of the week this week?
No. I don't think so.
That's okay.
Well, now you made me feel bad because you thought I felt bad.
No. Because I know better. Guilt is a rare commodity amongst you. All right. Well, all right. Before then, we wrap it up. Do we have anything left to pimp, promote, propagate, or pander?
No.
Well, actually, no. Wait a second. Hold on. Yes, I do. There will not be a true Quad M show next week.
Oh, yeah.
Because I will, as we've been whoring out for the last 2 to 3 weeks, I will be in the wonderful wizard world of Boise, Idaho, working the show there. But we will have a very special kind of a three-way summit between, not really between, but it'll be myself hosting, and we will have Derek Crabbe, who was the guest on our previous segment there, as well as good friend of the show, Deeply Dapper's own, Mr. Chris McClanahan. And I think primarily we'll be talking about the current state of conventions, because Chris works a hell of a lot of them, and Derek goes to a hell of a lot of them. He goes to like 6 or 7 a year. I mean, he goes to a lot of fucking conventions. And I will be your McLaughlin, the McLaughlin Hour guy. I'll be your moderator.
The moderator.
I will be your glorious host as we sit and talk about the current state in the world of conventions. And really what I would love to happen someday maybe is that this becomes something that we might be able to use and look at and actually do, because we've talked about like thinking about doing like live shows at conventions just for something.
Mm-hmm.
This might be something that if it works, because we're not going to do it live at the show, we'll be recording in the hotel room. But if this is a concept that works there, maybe perhaps it's something that could lead to a live podcast at a convention. Maybe we have celebrities that have been going to conventions for a long time in as, a guest for their perspective on it. Something I think about. But that show we will record, I believe it's Friday. I guess it'd be Friday the 13th, wouldn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah. So we will be recording it on Friday the 13th and have it posted and available for your listening enjoyment on Saturday. So Saturday the 14th, check it out. I don't have an official name for it as we're recording right now, but when we do, we'll be horning it out. Like I said, next Saturday, that will be the podcast for y'all to check out. And then, of course, we'll be back in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. All right, so once again, if we have anything left to pimp, promote, propagate, or pander.
God damn it, I said no.
All right, I just had to make sure. That will wrap it up for this week's episode of the Quad M Show. As always, kids, make sure subscribe, rate, and review us on the old iTunes or your podcast catcher of choice. Those are always important for us. Make sure to follow us, like us, and all that type of stuff on the Twitter, the Facebook, and the Instagram. Just look us up under Quad M Comics, and you will find us out there. Follow us and enjoy. Until 2 weeks from now, this is TJ.
And Jason.
And we will see you all later, gang. Take care.
You've been listening to the Quad M Show. Copyright 2018, Quad M Productions. If you have any comments, questions, queries, quibbles, or concerns, email us at quadmcomics@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at quadmcomics.
I'm Lewis, the lifeguard, and happy to say I rescued a drowning potato today. They drowned it in sour cream. Oh, what a shame, 'cause food's so much better when it's practically plain. So don't drown your food in mayo, salt, ketchup, or goop. Yeah!